First of all, thank you very much. I know you're not at all camera shy, but you don't like to be on the live chats. But I'm sure I'm doing this for most of your friends. Like I remember when I messaged Iram, she was so excited. Oh wow! So I am sure she has a lot of questions for you. Of course, maybe everyone. So
I think he
thank you.
knows all the answers to all the questions.
Who
I said, I think Iram already would
who
have
knows
all the
all the
answers
questions
to
to?
all her
Who
questions.
knows?
I said, Iram would already
Yeah.
have all the answers to all the questions.
No, but I think Iram needs to know more. That's what she told me. So let's wait for her questions. Okay. So Kolika, the idea of this chat show is that I know you're all very busy and you've been doing great in life, but most of the people, including me, really want to know what is your story. In sense, from when I say story, means that your school time, your college time, your love for architecture. When did you start K2? So if you could just brief us about your journey, then it will be really nice.
Sure. Wow. Okay. I'm born in Delhi. I went to junior modern school, then senior modern school, and I got very lucky because I actually used to do a lot of horse riding. So actually, the first time I was put on a horse by my father, I think I was 3 years old, and I got quite good at it actually. And so I got lucky because there's a school in England called Millfield, and they happened to be scouting for Indian students to come and study in England. And I did this round of interviews and I got selected. And so I ended up spending actually I ended up going for a summer to England just to try it out. And I got lucky because they were very keen to have me stay on. And then, but I'm talking about 96, 97, and it's expensive to study abroad. And I got lucky because they offered a scholarship to me. So I ended up finishing my last 2 years of high school in England at Millfield, which was
Nice.
amazing years of my life because actually there were 2 years of my life that in many ways made me, and more so because of the amazing headmaster I had in school. After that, I took a year out, and my parents will tell you I did quite a bit of masti, but controlled.
You want to? So
Yeah, but I also have younger people listening to this, so including my own kids, so I should control myself a little. But so I did a decent amount of masti, but I also ended up applying. So I had applied to England and I deferred my admission into England universities, taking a gap year. And I'm a bit of a mad person. You know this because you're also my friend. I was going to go off to South Africa to work in a safari park at a zoo for 6 months. And that was my aim. I love animals. I love being around animals. I love taking care of animals. I think the unconditional love that animals give you, I'm not so sure most humans can give you. So unfortunately, that didn't happen for me because that's also the year my mother ended up breaking her neck. So she was hospitalized for almost 3 months, actually. So the game changed a little bit for me, and I ended up applying to American universities, and then I ended up at CRAT, Institute of Design in New York, which was again an amazing 5 years because architecture, as you know, is 5 years. And New York was an education on its own. And yeah, so that's really before I came back to India in 2005. That's basically how I spent my time.
So where is this love for architecture? When did it happen?
I think my mother would tell you I could have gone through many professions, but I think at one time I wanted to become a professional horse rider. At another time I wanted to become an astronaut, believe it or not. And then I think I was 13 when I ended up going to Vijayanagar, to Hampi with my mother. which is this amazing archaeological site. And it kind of, it's actually when I started registering what architecture was, because of course I grew up I mean, you know, we used to come back from school. My mother, as you know, is a designer, and her studio was on the terrace of our house. So she used to come down for lunch, and we used to have lunch, and I used to run up, and we used to sit upstairs, and I used to see people making handmade, the most beautiful handmade perspectives, and drawing by hand, because that was not a time where people were using computers. And so I started understanding what it was, but really, I think it was that trip that changed it for me, that I had this, I had another level of interest in it. And that's when I actually decided I wanted to become, or I wanted to at least pursue architecture, but I was very afraid because, so things happen, right? Because if I continued studying in Delhi, I could have never done science. I would not have managed. I would have flunked very badly and not probably got into any architecture school. But design technology, which enabled me then to apply to architecture schools abroad. So also a lot of luck.
So I think, tell me something about your New York life, because that's like a, you know, dream of everyone, spending their, you know, the best time of their life in the most happening place in the world. And I heard you made you make some amazing cocktails too. So is this, because I know the story, but I want the audience to know something about New York life.
Well, so obviously I did 5 years of architecture school at Pratt in New York. Listen, you know, you can't avoid hard work. Architecture is, in college, is a lot of hard work. There are a lot of sleepless nights, and it's a lot of hard work, but you got to compensate that, right? So then there's hard work, and then there's a hard amount of partying, which has to balance itself out eventually. But the thing is, when I was in college, I worked 3 jobs ever since freshman year. Actually, freshman year, I worked 2 jobs. It was from sophomore year that I started doing 3 jobs. So you sleep very little. And one of the jobs I did is, one of the summers, I called my parents up and I said, listen, I'm not coming back. And I'm a resident advisor in school. So my housing is going to be free. And I want to do this bartending course. So I broke the news to my mother to have her break it to my father, because he would have probably fallen off the chair, and saying, is this what I'm spending so much money for her to go abroad to become a bartender? But as you know, I have a mind of my own. So I stuck to my guns and I did my bartending course. And it was a lot of fun. I met amazing people, because people who come to bartend in New York could be people who are trying to be on a Broadway show. They could be singers, musicians, you know, trying to be actors, models. They come from all over, and then they bartend. So you meet some really, really interesting minds and some amazing people. So I'm very blessed, because I had quite an amazing time in New York. And some part of it I ended up spending in Italy, because I did a semester abroad, and then I also ended up going to England to work. So I think it's very important for everybody, and I tell people who intern with me all the time, the interns who come after leaving home to my office, that means they're not really from Delhi, are the guys who seem to be a lot more committed and a lot more hardworking and a lot more independent. So their thought process also ends up becoming, also becomes very independent, and which I think is very important.
Right. But nothing like, you saw the movie Cocktails of Tom Cruise, something like that, or nothing like that. I wish.
A lot happened.
I knew.
So,
but with your experience, it might have happened. So that's why I'm asking. But it's fine. If you don't want to talk about it, okay.
No, listen, you know, like I said, we've all got to let our hair down, and you're in a city like New York, and the amazing thing was a lot of my school friends ended up America at the same time. So one was in Boston, one was in Virginia, one was studying at